Hello, my name is Jim Britt. I'm a Senior Program Manager within the Azure Engineering team. Today I wanted to show you guys how easy it is to export an Azure ARM blueprint and related artifacts out of your management group within your existing AD tenant and import that into a new management group within the same AD tenant or a management group within a brand new AD tenant. So the blueprint I'm going to work with today is this one here, ISO 27001. It is a published blueprint. It's got a series of related artifacts in here. These are all built-in policies. It's the latest published version, is version 1.0. The script I'll be working with and showing you guys today either exports the latest published version, or if a draft exists, it will export the draft version of that blueprint and artifacts related to it. The script itself you can find by going to aka.ms/manage-ARMBlueprints. And if you go to this particular URL, it'll bring you to the latest version of this particular script. You can do an install script with a dash name, and this will install it into your environment. But within my PowerShell environment, what I'm going to do is a save script. And I'm going to provide a path here, and I'm going to do the relative path. The reason why I'm doing a save script is because I want this script to be basically downloaded into this working directory so I can use it in the demonstration. Once the script gets downloaded, I have the ability to go ahead and do a get help on this. If you wanted to get additional information on potential examples that I've provided in here, I have 6 examples that show different operations within this particular script. It just gives you an idea how to use the script. But we're going to go ahead and do an export. And so the parameters that I provide in here, we've got mode, which is essentially either export, import, or report. Management group, this would be the management group that you're looking to export from, so you could provide this as a parameter and it won't prompt you for it. Report dir, if you provide report dir on the command line along with the mode of report, it will actually export the details of a particular blueprint into a report directory that you request. Blueprint name, this is if you want to go and provide a blueprint name on the command line, it will go out and get that blueprint out of that management group. Again, these parameters are allowing you to be able to programmatically do this as opposed to having to be prompted along the way, but I'm going to show you how this all works here in a second. Subscription ID, this is a subscription ID of a subscription within your Azure AD tenant that you're wanting to work with. If it's an export operation, you want to be able to provide the subscription ID for that Azure AD tenant where your blueprint's located currently. If it's an import operation, it's whatever that target tenant is and related subscription within that tenant. The subscription again is just to provide the context for the tenant itself. Other than that, it's not used. New management group ID and new blueprint name. These two things are allowing you to be able to, on the fly, either on export or on import, be able to create a new management group target ID. And so what we're going to do is we're going to leverage both of these on the import process, and I'll show you how both of these work. But new blueprint name as well as new management group ID are things that can provide you the ability to move it into a new environment and change the naming as well as the target location. Export directory and import directory, or export dir and import dir, these are used in the operation for export and import. Forest allows you to go ahead and do this. As long as you provide all the parameters, it will execute without prompting during the import process. So I'm going to go ahead and provide the mode here. And the mode initially we're going to do is export. In addition, the requirement is I need to put an export directory in here, and so I'm going to go ahead and just do a relative path of this current working directory. That's all I need to provide at this point. If I'm not actually logged into Azure, it will go ahead and prompt me to log in, but I'm already logged in, and so it's taken my authentication token. It's representing all the subscriptions that my ID currently has access to, and so I'm going to go ahead and select the one that's within my Azure AD tenant that I want to export my blueprint from. The next prompt here, again, these are all parameters that you can provide in advance, but I'm looking to see what management group do I want to export from. And specifically, if you provide this on the command line, this is going to be the management group ID, and that will be this ID specifically here. If I was to provide that on the parameter, it also has a friendly display name, but this will not work if you use it in the script as a parameter. So I'm going to go ahead and select number 1. Since I only had one blueprint basically published within that management group, it exported that existing blueprint. But if there were multiple blueprints in that particular management group, it would have provided me a listing of the blueprints to export, and then I could select from there. So now that I have my blueprint exported, I can take a look and see what that looks like and go over. The structure that I create during the export process is essentially MG for the management group dash and then the management group name. So if I had a new target management group, whenever I exported this using the new management group ID, this folder structure would have been slightly different. It would have changed to the new management group name. With inside here, this is the blueprint name that I've exported. And here's my blueprint content, my payload. These are all JSON files that essentially describe at the top level the blueprint itself and the structure. And each one of these are individual artifacts that we're leveraging that you saw inside the blueprint UI. So now I want to import this into my environment. I'm actually going to go ahead and just specify mode of import. And then what's required here is the import directory itself. I'm going to go ahead and do a relative path since it's located within my directory structure, but this could be a full qualified path of /blueprint demo / etc. Inside this folder here, these are all my blueprint pieces of content, but I don't want to go that deep. I just want to go directly into this folder itself. As I mentioned, I want to go ahead and give it a new target management group. I exported from my GIMS management group that particular group ID. What I want to go ahead and do is provide root because I want to import it in my root, and I want to elevate this to my production code. And so in addition, I'm going to go ahead and give it a new blueprint name. So as opposed to my ISO 27001 draft or QA or whatever I might have called it within my blueprint environment within the UI, I'm going to go ahead and give it a new blueprint name. I'm going to call this prod ISO 27001. If I provide the dash force, it will go ahead and import this in without prompting me, but I'm going to go ahead and hit enter here so you can see the full experience. So again, I could have provided the subscription ID that would have bypassed this menuing system, and I'm going to go ahead and select the same Azure AD tenant and subscription target that I was leveraging in the beginning. I'll go ahead and say yes here. Again, this is a modification of the environment, so we want to prompt for this. Again, you could use force, a dash force, and it would bypass this prompt as long as the other parameters were provided. So I'll go ahead and click yes. As you can see, this looks very similar to the export process, only we're just doing the opposite. We're doing an import. Something to note here is that you do have to have access to the management group that you're importing in, so you have to be able to have enough rights to be able to import that blueprint into the environment. So once we get this imported in, I go back here to my blueprint UI. Can't see the blueprint imported in just yet, but if I click refresh, you can see I've got my prod ISO 27001. It's brought in a draft mode. If I take a look here, you can see that we've got the related artifacts, a very similar look and feel to what we had before. It's basically just brought in the exact identical copy of what you had in your other management group directly into the root management group. At this point, I could publish the blueprint or continue to edit it as I publish it, add comments, etc. But this process does bring it in a draft mode. If you had an existing blueprint called prod-ISO 27001 going through this process and it was in a published mode, this would bring in a draft. If you were published and also had a draft, this would overwrite the existing draft on import. And so that's why we prompt to make sure that you are definitely wanting to import this in. So an overview, what we did with this script is we provided the option of being able to export out of an existing management group. on the fly be able to rename the blueprint as well as the target management group if you need to. Optionally, this script can be used just to do a straight export of all your existing blueprints and related artifacts in your environment, so you have a backup of that. In addition, we went through the import process, targeting the existing import directory, which is the export source from the previous operation. We provided a new management group ID as well as a new blueprint name on the command line to be able to allow you to take the blueprint and artifacts that you've exported and bring it into a brand new hierarchy if necessary, whether that's in a new AD tenant or in the existing AD tenant within a different targeted management group. So I appreciate you listening. If you have any feedback or comments on the script itself, please provide those out on the comments section here. And thank you and have a great day.